Hello and good morning. It's me, Flower Child. 567. You know what? I have no clue why the 567 was added to my name, other than the fact that maybe there were 566 other Flower Child accounts. Anyways, um, welcome to the Tamriel Storyteller Hour. And this is dedicated, of course, to the writers of ESO. So I'm very happy you're here today. And, for the most part, there's not much action on the screen, but this is an invitation to just sit back and listen as I read to you pre-selected lore from our lore books here in Elderscrolls Online. So let's go ahead and open up our podium. I'm going to light the candles, and I'm going to open the doors, and then we're going to open the tome. Oh yes, look at that. That's so nice when that happens. I like that. It's pretty cool. Yes, indeed. All right. So, I'm your host, of course, and I'm going to be reading today for you I'm going to continue what I started last week, which was the 5 companions, right? And I want to continue reading about those 5 companions because they're pretty cool. And as we know, they really are the beginning of ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, and what we're all about. I gotta share this with you. The other day, I was visiting a PvP streamer's channel, and there was a really interesting discussion going on. Hey, T-Jard, it's nice to see you. I hope you had a really, really nice Thanksgiving and got filled up with good food. Now you can just relax. Relax. And hi, everyone else who's viewing also. And the channel just went into a commercial break, so I'm not going to start reading until after that commercial break ends. But I never know, because there is an 8-second delay from the time I'm speaking and the time it goes live. But I think, who knows? I don't know. Anyways. All right. Well, I'm going to get going now anyways. But I do want to say hi to everyone out there and welcome you here and let you know that I really appreciate you viewers tuning in. Hey, Visionary, nice to see you. Nice to see you. And all right, here we go. So today I'm going to continue, like I said, reading about the 5 companions. So, of course, you can just go right into your journal, lore library, if you don't own them in book form. I don't. I've been searching for them. And if you find them, oh, please do tell me where you found them so I can go pick them up, even if I have already read it. Okay, so the 5 companions. Let's see, there it is. There are 19 volumes to this, and I only have found 14, so I still have 5 more to find. Okay. Anyways, last week we read about Lyris. She wrote the first 2. And then the third one was written by Abner Tharn. And we're continuing with the 4th one, The Chronicles of the 5 Companions, Volume 4. And it, too, is written by Abner Tharn. So here we go. Sit back and Just close your eyes and enjoy. I am Grand Chancellor Abner Tharn, Overlord of Nimbene, the head of the Elder Council, advisor to emperors and kings for 117 of the 164 years that I have been alive. I did not come by my position of influence through luck or nepotism, but rather through extreme discipline, ambition, and cunning, and yet here I am, conspiring with idiots and fools in a musty hole in the ground. How the mighty have fallen. The year is the Second Era, 582, but I am unsure of the precise date. I've lost track, given the gravity of the monumental task that is before us. After reading the previous entries in this chronicle, I felt it necessary to offer my side of the story so that I am not misrepresented by future historians. We Tharns have held positions of power throughout Cyrodiil since the days of the potentate. We are prized for our loyalty to the Emperor, our deft political machinations, and our ruthless subjugation or elimination of dissenters within imperial territories. What we do is grim work, but it is necessary if the empire is to endure. Do I sound boastful and egotistical? Perhaps I am, but I shall put these words to paper so that you, the reader, might understand my views and my actions, and their place in the long view of history. For nearly 30 years I have advised the savage men of the Reach, from Durkorak to Levich, as their long, brutish dynasty ravaged the empire. They lasted longer than many of the would-be conquerors that came before them, but their alien nature and low heritage made them unfit to stand in the presence of the true-blooded sons of Kolavia or Nimbene. Their most grave insult came when Levich, youngest of their line, sought the hand of my 16th daughter, Clivia, in marriage, that she might rule with him as empress. Like his grandfather before whom, who married Verexia Tharn, Levich hoped that our family's connections and pure Lebanese bloodline would somehow legitimize his claim to the Ruby Throne. It was an exercise in futility, and it exasperated me to no end. So, when Varan Aquilaris, the son of the Colovian duke and a powerful military leader in his own right, contacted me in secret and sought my assistance to depose those foul strangers from the north, I eagerly agreed. The war was long and bloody, but armed with knowledge of the imperial city, Varan eventually led his army of rebels to the palace gates. Varan drove his sword into Levich's black-blooded heart and watched him die, choking on his own lifeblood. At the foot of the Ruby Throne, and immediately declared himself to be emperor. For my loyalty and assistance, he agreed to take my daughter Clivia as his bride. After Varan's betrayal at Manimarco's hand, it pained me to hand the reins of the Emperor Pyre over to another outlander, but the King of Worms is a dangerous enemy, and to ensure the dominance of necromancy over all other forms of magic, Manimarco immediately cast the Mages Guild out of the imperial city, then had all remaining dissenters arrested as enemies of the state. I did not wish for my name to appear on that very long list, which only grew shorter when the executions began, so I pledged my loyalty. In return, I was granted stewardship of the imperial city, and my daughter Clivia, still the Empress Regent, became the titular ruler of the empire. But Manimarco remained the power behind the throne. Of course, Manimarco turned on me the moment my usefulness was expended. I was marginalized and cloistered away in a tower of bones, and my daughter was turned against me, lured by Manimarco's promise to teach her the dark arts that would give her mastery over life and death. But know this, dear reader, I will take the empire back. I will restore order out of chaos. That is my only ambition and my ultimate desire. I will strike down any who stand in my way with all the fires of Daedric sorcery I can command, and those who dare to thwart me shall be damned to the pits of oblivion for all eternity. Now, for those of you who have had the opportunity to cross paths with Abner Tharn, he has quite a he has quite an interesting sound. He's very arrogant sounding and very degrading with how he speaks down to you. But for some reason, I like him. I don't know why it is I like him, but I do like him. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about all of that. Anyways, let's come over here, and I'm going to have a seat as I read the next book to you. Okay. Continuing with Book 5. Chronicles of the Five Companions. Book 5. Abner Tharn here. Collecting the Red Guard from the halls of torment was a simple enough task in the end. I find it curious that Sai Sahan was affected so by his experiences with the other members of the companions, though I find his tolerance of and affection for that hulking she-troll distasteful. It cannot be denied that his willpower throughout his imprisonment was nothing short of legendary. We now know where the Amulet of Kings resides. It is perhaps fitting that he returned it there. Sahan is better read than I expected, but perhaps a bit too poetic. A clever and patriotic man of imperial descent might have immediately thought of the ancient citadel of Saint-Critor and its association with Elysia and the covenant of the divines. It is perhaps a great blessing that the elven Manimarco has no such love for Cyrodiilic history. Sai Sahan is a curious individual. I've never considered the Red Guards quite as contemptible as many Nibonese lords might, and I find him the most agreeable of the surviving companions. He understands duty and dedication, serves those he knows to be his betters, and hones his craft with singular dedication. Despite his inability to resurrect a lost tradition for the best, probably given its supposed implication in the destruction of the Red Guard homeland, Sai Sahan's abilities with the long sword are awe-inspiring. I recall a time during the war against the Longhouse Emperors when he rode at the head of a column of mercenary soldiers tasked by Varen to assist in the liberation of Leowyn. It turned out that Levich, Zeon of the Tagdrolik, and then Emperor of the Imperial City, employed those mercenaries as double agents, and when Sai came before the gates of Leowyn with his loyal troops, they turned on him, hoping to deliver the severed head of Varen's legendary Dragon Guard commander to Emperor Levich. Second-hand accounts of the citizens are often difficult to trust, but even if one takes simple peasant exaggeration into account, it is clear that Sai fought his way through two forces intent on separating his skull from his neck, and when he returned to the rebellion base at Bruma weeks later, he did so with the scalps of 86 men and the news that Leowyn had been freed. He's never really spoken of it to me, despite my pressuring. Varen, of course, did not pry. He used his own charisma and the overactive imaginations of the levies to spin a tale of glorious combat. One man against two armies. Sai Sahan, who single-handedly freed Leowyn from Levik's control. The truth, I suspect, is far more brutal and bloody. One does not saw the skin off of 86 skulls unless one is burdened with a great deal of suppressed anger and bloodlust. One man does not take on 600 at once. I think it far more likely that the Red Guard fought a brutal, running battle throughout the city for days, murdering commanders and guardsmen alike until the Reachmen and their mercenaries eventually quit the settlement. That is what makes Sai Sahan so dangerous. He does not look to be the sort who would remain hidden away in dark alleys and back streets, surviving by eating garbage, butchering one by one men so savage that the only way to frighten them is to become a murderous, invisible ghost haunting the shadows of an occupied city. And yet, that is precisely who he is and what he has done. Well, I have to tell you, after my encounter with and adventures with Sai Sahan, I have to tell you, I think he's a magnificent warrior. There's something very attractive about him, his ways, his manner of speech, and his intense love for his, what does he call her, lily dove or white lily dove or something like that. And who he's referring to as Lyric, Titanborn, the giant. Oh, they're quite a couple to see. There is Lilith towering 7 feet, and there is Sai Sahan, a gigantic stature of a man standing dwarfed beside her. It's an interesting dichotomy to see. But they're, after all their adventures, they've gone off to have their own life somewhere out in the far, unknown, mysterious places of Tamriel, should you be so lucky to come into contact with them. Okay, now I'm going to go on to Chronicles number 6, book number 6. Chronicles of the Five Companions, number 6. And this is written by Sai Sahan. I am called Sai Sahan, son of Nazir Itaf Sahan of Benkorai. I have been asked to add my words to these chronicles, and though I am no scribe, I will do my best. The teachings of Devad, of Abba, of Kalam, and of Satama tell us that while a warrior may hone his craft to perfection, or sharpen his sword to where it may cleave stone and steel as though it were air, the true worth of a swordsman is denoted by the quality of the enemies he draws to him. I find myself idly wondering if the great forebears would reconsider this philosophy, if they could see us now and witness our enemy, the Prince of Daedra, known as Moloch Baal. At first I thought to write that my training did not prepare me for this, but after hours of meditation and the counsel of my once emperor, I have come to realize that this is exactly why Kasura and I trained and studied for so many years. The sword singers of old Yukuda were said to be more than mortal, possessed of focus and skill far beyond what other men might achieve in a dozen lifetimes. While I cannot claim to have reached such greatness, perhaps my final text was not to wage wars alongside emperors, but to bring righteous still to bear against the foes of all life. I harbor some doubts about whether I am ready for the coming struggle. I did not break under the tortures of the betrayer, but I did not emerge from the halls of torment unscathed. Torn flesh knits under the ministrations of my Lord's healing magic, and my savage dreams are soothed by snow lilies' warm voice in my ear as I startle awake in the dead of night, but still I am not whole. Tharn and I speak at length over games of skill and strategy while I recover, and I have spoken plainly about my worries. His contempt at my perceived weaknesses serves as a much-needed counterpoint to Snow Lily's tender words. I endure and accept it, for a warrior without humility is as flawed as a sword blade forged too rigidly. His words harden my resolve and keep my wit sharp. It is difficult to set aside the many deaths at the Abbey of Blades, and though we did what we could in the wake of the attack, it will be many years before Kasura is ready to train more students in the way of the blade and the mind. And when all of this is ended, should we survive, of course, I would very much like to return there and help rebuild. Perhaps I will ask Snow Lily to come with me. You know what I'm reading and sharing with you, these books, the Chronicles of the Five. These are the different chapters of the adventure known as Soul Shriven, where we go in and we rescue each of the five companions from captivity. And Sai Sahan perhaps had it the worst because he was tortured by Manny Marco for years. I can't remember exactly, but maybe hundreds of years. And he was almost ripped asunder mentally. Physically, yes, he was tortured, but mentally. It was very hard work. Snow Lily is what he used to call, or does call, Lyris. What a gentle and tender name to give such a mighty warrioress. Manny Marco, such a little worm. But Malik Ball, I have to tell you something. When I came up against Malik Ball, right, when I stood before him, I was so afraid of him. But what I did was I said, well, you know what, I worked hard. First of all, I worked hard to get my soul back. Right? I worked so hard to get my soul back. And I did. I got my soul back. And it was fantastic. And I was able to close that realm off with the help of the companions. But when I stood before Malik Ball, I gained such courage, and this is what I did. I said, "You shall not win." Oh, I know, I'm being silly, but I just had to share all of that with you. All right, let me continue in our, whoopsie. Let me continue in my story. Whoops, what am I doing? I don't want any of this. No. I'm going to end up putting something over my head. See, pink. But, all right. I don't want that. Hold on. Let me get that off. I meant to go like this. Yes, I meant to just continue. So let me go back to the storytelling. Here. Come with me back into story. All right. Okay. Journal. The 5 companions. And I think, am I reading 6? Yes. No, I'm reading 7. I think. Hold on, now I'm confused. This was Tharn, then we read about Sai, and now we're going on to volume 7. Yes. I am called Sai Sahan, son of Nazir, Itaf Sahan of Benkarai. Once again, I set my thoughts to paper. It pains me to see a city of such history corrupted by the foul necromancy of Manny Marco and his black worms. Though the sons and daughters of Cyrodiil are not my people, it is precisely the ruination of something so deeply culturally significant that causes my heart to ache. In many ways, though neither crown nor forebear will admit it, we are more alike to the Imperials than we are different. Varen honored me when he asked me to captain his dragon guard. I trained many of the captains myself, drilling them in the arts of swordplay, leadership, and tactics. They were of many races and many creeds. There was devout Nathaniel of Morrowind, who would quietly recite the sermons of his heathen demigods each dawn. I also recall young Lucas Ivan, outcast from his family holdings in High Rock over some political squabble. Not all of us were imperial, and yet we took readily to their traditions, their learned ways, and even their food. We believed in the vision of the empire once. And this day it seems the empire was just a dream, and Sancretor merely a ruined shadow of that dream. I swore an oath to Varen Aquilieris to protect him and see his own dream of a reunited empire come to pass. But as we are now witness, and I must admit, it will be impossible to fulfill that oath. Even now the imperial city is besieged by those who would see their own petty leaders seated upon the ruby throne, and a very few of them are of its native soil. I mourn the loss of Sancretor and the broken empire to the ravages of conflicts, both cosmic and mundane, not because I hold any special love for imperial ways, but because it is much like the fate of the sword singers, a broken line that only a scant few seek to mend for reasons that are unselfish or incorruptible. You know, at the beginning I began to share with you how I, the other day, tuned into one of the ESO streamers who does PvP, and I came in on a conversation, and they were complaining bitterly about how and maybe I'm being unfair because I left. I didn't want to sit there and listen to their complaints, but they were complaining about how, you know, the characters of ESO are not defined, and you don't know what really happens to them, and you know. And I made the comment of, well, you got to question, you got to read the lore, and I was poo-pooed, which PvP players usually shut down PvE players real quick because we have a love of questing, and of course, what do? We read the lore. So, this lore that I'm sharing with you right now, it is so much about what happens to 5 very major players in this world. The comment made was, I don't want to have to read lore. It's kind of like, all right, well, then PvP away and stop complaining, man. Because this game, this world was created for those of us to adventure. And the PvP, though for some it's the sole purpose, it's kind of a secondary, maybe even a thirdary aspect of this incredible Elder Scrolls Online. I could be wrong. I'm biased. Chronicles of the Five Companions, Volume 8. Abner Tharn, once again. If I'd had a drake for every petty king or would-be emperor that I wanted to get their filthy mittens on the Amulet of Kings, I could purchase Akavir right out from under the scaly feet of those detestable snake people. The amulet's loss after the fall of the Remain dynasty and the dawning of the Second Era centuries before my birth was considered the greatest catastrophe of its time. Without a duly ordained emperor sitting on the ruby throne, many prophesied the doom of the world. But like many such prognostications from provincial soothsayers, their predictions did not come to pass. Not yet. Without the Amulet of Kings, Tamriel endured just as it did when the divinely chosen wore it around their necks. The sun rose, people killed each other, greed and petty ambitions, powerful men, and dictated the fates of those beneath their stations, and they all woke up the next day to do it all again. I'm not hopeful that our chances against a Daedric prince. It is the most ridiculous of follies to believe that even if the spell works, one might actually challenge such a powerful entity and emerge victorious. The vestige, that's me, is a formidable warrior. Thank you. But still flawed. Ugh. In truth, I'd rather send Titanborn on this fool's errand and save the vestige, for when we are better prepared, she, at least, is expendable. Now, I'm not sure if he's talking about me or Lily, or Titanborn. Larissus. I think it's probably Larissus. He doesn't like her. I realize just how foolish such a sentiment is. And Titanborn, if you are reading this, try not to twist your ridiculous pigtails in a knot. I'm a Tharn. Humility does not suit us. There can be no doubt. Our one chance is here and now. We take it or perish forever. Much of Tamriel has been spared the horrors of this engagement, and already the land recovers from the impact of the anchors in the places where they fell. Common peasantry would accept this as providence and laud the efforts of those who ended the Daedric melding of worlds. But their ignorance is bliss. My knowledge of the Daedra affords me a terrible glimpse into the nightmare world that awaits us, should we not wholly dislodge Moloch Baal's grasp on this world. Consider, dear reader, Tamriel is a ripe apple dangling precariously from the flowering branches of a great tree, and for eons it has hung far above, well out of reach of the hungry teeth, the Daedra who would feast upon it. But the rendering of the cosmic veil caused by the soul burst, Manny Marco's tainted coronation ritual, cracked the branch upon which our aforementioned apple grows. Picture, then, as we continue our quaint agricultural metaphors, Moloch Baal as the hog who grasps the nearest leaves of the stricken branch. His dung-stained trotters give him leverage as he pulls, hoping to tear the entire branch down so that he may feast upon the apple. The efforts of those who stopped the plain meld and shattered Moloch Baal's anchors staggered the footing of the hog, sweeping his legs out from beneath him. Nevertheless, his fetid teeth still dig into the branch. If he is allowed to recover, he will begin his struggle yet again. We must dislodge Moloch Baal's teeth, as it were, through application of incredible force. Of course, we cannot use the amulet a second time in the same fashion as we did at the soul burst, but if I am correct, and I always am, a modification of the spell will allow a mortal to to become a vessel of the divines and imbue him with the power of the amulet. The particulars of the magic itself could fill a book in and of itself, so I shall spare the reader the specifics, which are undoubtedly above the understanding of even learned scholars. It takes formidable intellect of a thorn, and there are none alive greater than I to comprehend its complexities. If we succeed, history shall record that it was the knowledge and ambition of Abner Thorn that brought about the salvation of this world by guiding the hand of the vestige. If we fail, then none will be wiser, for we shall all become the lifeless, mindless servants of the Daedric prince until the end of time. That's a pretty heady book right there. That says quite a bit. Quite a bit. Anyways, I'm always fascinated with this lore. All right. I'm going to read one more and finish the Chronicles of the Five Companions. So, Chronicles of the Five Companions, Volume 9. And verily did the five strive forth into the shadows of calamity to render unto Malagbal the right solid thrashing he deserved. I can say with pride that I, Sir Codwell of Codswallop the Undaunted, Knight of the Court of Cold Harbor, champion of chivalry, defender of the defenseless, shepherd to the soul-shriven, have watched from a great distance to see this moment come to pass. I shall miss the beautiful vistas of Cold Harbor, with its seas of crystal blue flame, its sky of perfect smoky darkness, and its rocky peaks stretching high into the ashen clouds. Tamriel is but a weak simulacrum of its perfection, which I find downright bothersome, given that this lot all thinks Cold Harbor is but a shadow of it in return. Can you imagine it? My good friend, Arianella Unday, that's me, has done an excellent job, though I find their name coarse and unpleasant to pronounce. Still, far be it from me to judge. They have laid the god of schemes low and found a new mistress for me to serve. Ah, radiant Meridia, her eyes of shining gold fill me with inspiration. It is her I shall now serve for what it is, a knight without a lady love to protect. She was rather adamant that I bring her light to the vestige, so that they can use it to traverse the length and breadth of Tamriel, and I dare say there was a hint of fear in her voice as she spoke of the days to come, as though the destruction of Tamriel under the clawed palisade talons of Malagbal was somehow not the worst of it. It is, of course, not my place to pry details from her that she is not already willing to share. A simple no, punctuated naturally with the typical booming voice and flashing magic of Daedric wrath, convinced me that it was a poor idea to press the matter further. Lovely and radiant, but not gentle or kind, the Daedra, even the most benign of them, are like a hurricane off the coast. It is a dark sort of beauty, but you pray it does not come onto land and crash the ball. What? The harborage will do for a home for now. Venturing outside is difficult for me. I dare say Tamriel has gotten uglier in the years since I have been separated from it. Meridia's warm light keeps my spirit soothed evermore. Well, that's Caldwell, and if all of you know Caldwell, he's a bit interesting. And he's talking about Meridia. Right here. Meridia. Oopsie. Sorry. Let me go down so you can look at her. Meridia right there. Beautiful Meridia with the light. Yes. Very angelic. Well, okay. So now I have come to the end of the more serious lore again. And want to spend the rest of our time having some fun. I actually, whoopsie, where are my fists up? Let me just put those away real quick. Do I come over here to this one, do you think? You all know what happens when I pull this book off the shelf. Oh no, oh no. Well, I want to read a couple books from this bookshelf, so I guess I have to go through the routine, the ritual, all over again. All right. Here I go. Oh gosh. Okay, so, oh God, I always have to battle this damn book. Oh God, stop it, stop it, stop trying to eat me. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. How many times will I learn? I must be insane to think it will be different, but I keep repeating the same action. Well, sorry everyone, that's just the way it is. Okay, this is the book I want. Yes, right here. This is the book I want. Let's come over here for a moment. Okay. I would like to talk to you for a minute about, let's see, I'm going into the world and its creatures here. A diet of eyeballs. There seems to be an overabundance of eyeball eating by so many in this interesting world. So I thought I would read a little bit. A diet of eyes. While hag ravens have long been associated with certain Reachmen tribes, the relationship between the Reachmen and these monsters is still unclear. And with the face of an old crone and a misshapen body that combines human and raven, hag ravens are horrific sights, so they are far worse to smell. And it is the remnants of their meals that induce the greatest horror, however, for hag ravens consume people, preferably while still alive, and they are said to be especially fond of eyeballs. A sated hag raven will sometimes merely suck out a victim's eyes, then cast out the unfortunate to wander sightless through the wilds. Well, hag ravens are not the only ones who like to eat eyeballs. So I thought I would conjure up some food to share with all of you to make my point. So what I'm doing here is I'm going into my food resources. Now, first of all, we've got a bowl of peeled eyeballs. It's a drink. A lot of people love this because it increases magic recovery by 459 and health recovery by 505 by 2 hours. And these effects are scaled based on your level with a 6-second cooldown. And a bowl of the peeled grapes and cold noodles and fruit broth, tasty and laugh riot at coven parties. Well, okay, I'll eat one. Okay, it's not so bad. It actually tastes rather good. Now, I think a lot of people who do the crafts learn how to make four-eye grog right from the beginning. And four-eye increase health and recovery by 156 for 35 minutes with a 5-second cooldown. And it's an alcoholic drink, so you can't drink too much of it or you'll get wobbly. But, okay, here's to four-eye grog. Okay, now we do have a ghastly eye bowl. And it too is a drink. And it increases max magicka by 4592 and magicka recovery by 459 for 2 hours. And these effects are scaled based on your level with a 6-second cooldown. Now, eyeballs and live worms in a chilled banana and flesh fly broth. Ooh, skirms inside all the way down. All right, here's to all of those who insist on drinking the ghastly eyeball. All right, I'm going to also honor the Argonians for the Hismir 5-Eye Rye. And, well, it too is a drink. And it increases magicka and stamina recover by 529 for 2 hours. And this drink will also grant you insights into what manner of fish spawn in various bodies of water, as well as alertness for nearby fish activities. So this is really good for anyone who's working on becoming a master, what's it called? I forget now, but you know, you want that achievement. It's a master fisherman. Anyways, these effects are scaled based on your level. 6-second cooldown. And it is a seasonal beverage that's enjoyed during the New Life Festival, which is coming up ahead of us. And this Argonian drink has a terrible smell, which is why it should be imbibed only with plugged nostrils. And it too is an alcoholic drink. And well, I know it's not the season, but I'm going to go ahead and here's to all Argonians. And last but by no means least is what's called White Eye Whiskey, and it's a tincture beverage, and that means it has healing properties, and it increases health recovery by 368 and stamina recovery by 337 for 1 hour with a 5-second cooldown. So it too is an alcoholic drink, but I saved it for last, not only because of the alphabet, but because whiskey will kill off any other taste from any of the other eyeball drinks I've had thus far. So here's to all of you White Eye whiskey drinkers. That really has a strong going down factor. So there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed learning all about eyeballs. You know, I have one last thing I want to read to you, but I think I'm going to save it for next week for the fun time sharing hour, because I'm feeling a little woozy. I'm kind of feeling the way my little weird Nords felt, you know, that drunken feeling. I don't know if I can find it real quick. Hold on a second, because I no longer have it in my hold on. Is it in here? No, I have to go through here. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. I'm feeling a little bit, I'll find it. I'm feeling a little bit drunk. Oh yeah. Ooh, I wish I had a Nord companion right now. We'd both feel, you know, really comfortable with each other. So the Nords with their mead, and me with all that eyeball crap I just drank. Ooh, okay, once I gain my equilibrium back, I'll probably be able to go out and fight and do what I do best. Quest. Well, my friends, from this imbibed, from this imbibed high elf, which you rarely see us drunk like this, I have to say, hey, thanks for tuning in for the Tamriel Storyteller Hour. And hey, ESO writers, you guys rock. Woohoo, you rock. All right, I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye. Oh, I better go lay down. Bye.